Lemurians, they taught us about compassion and creativity. You need compassion to truly be a work of art. Because with compassion, our eyes are clear. Our eyes allow us to step into the realm of infinite imagination. And in that realm of infinite imagination, we are free to explore the possibilities of life. During the age of Lemuria, there was no concepts of light and dark, negative and positive. There was a neutrality. The charge of life incorporated masculine and feminine, and that it was someone's choice to make it their primary focus on masculine or feminine. But either way, the Lemurians saw life as synergized. It's a collaboration. It's a symphony. So the Lemurians, they worked on poetry, and they were clay builders, and they wrote plays and acted out plays in crystal caves, and they had crystal grids along the shores of the beach that connected to large, gigantic crystal pyramids just offshore. And they would use the force of the ocean to charge their pineal glands, to charge their cities in the light. They used light like you see in this creek, light that reflects. They used the moon and they used the stars by honing in on the stars with their crystal telescopes, because they discovered through the energy of particular crystals, quartz crystals, amethyst crystals, rose quartz crystals, they were able to reflect starlight onto the world to light up their cities. And they made pearl necklaces. They loved pearls because the energy of pearl is solid, it's consistent. A pearl sings. It hums a tune that is in sync with the ocean. Inside it, the very vibrations of the deep ocean. Lemurians very much loved the sea. They were seamen and women. They were designers of sophisticated sailboats that would glide over the ocean as though it was flying or hovering just above the ocean. And they were merchants. Lemurians were very well-known merchants. And where they lived is interesting because their continent resided on an ocean where almost several oceans dumped into one ocean. So they had this fierceness because of these currents all pouring into one body of water. Very much their life was like the Mediterranean. They had this Mediterranean energy to their existence. Their beaches were very much like the shores off of the Mediterranean. It was very bright and the sun always shines every day. It was always warm. It was always filled with a breeze, a summer breeze in the air. And Lemurians were very much explorers of nature. They very much liked to document the fruits they found, to write stories about fruits. Because on their continent, they were abundant with different kinds of fruits, different kinds of trees, plant life. And they primarily only ate fruit, because fruit to them was the most energizing and cleansing. It was almost like a laxative, fruit, because it cleansed their bodies out. And Lemurians, they very much practice cleanliness of the body and the mind. They very much were the center of art, painting, of sculpture. They were very well painters. And they were very well at astronomy. They had a deep fascination with the stars and a deep connection with Pleiades. They very much told stories about Pleiades, told stories about women with pinky skin and blonde hair with pink highlights and with a bleachy skin and beautiful diamond-shaped blue eyes that sparkled and shimmered in the moonlight. And how their skin almost glowed like the moon, glowed white. It's almost as though in the nighttime you could see the Pleiadians in the pitch black because they glowed so bright. And they had a curiosity with the Arcturians, because the Arcturians were the friends to the Pleiadians. They collaborated together. And the Pleiadians showed them about books, about the wisdom held within books, internal books. They showed them how to turn their stories into truths, into wisdom, into something they could use to actually build upon, build technology. Because Lemurians were very much storytellers. It was very much fictional stories that they would channel all throughout the day. But they never really believed that the fictional stories could actually be made into reality, and that the technologies in these fictional stories could actually be made into a creation, until the Arcturians showed them how to make fiction into non-fiction. And this was the technology age, the age of great advancements in cave buildings. You see, Lemurians had caves that were hollow, that were along the shore. And in these caves, the ceilings and the walls were made of a material it's closely related to diamond and crystal. It's almost like its parents were diamond and crystal. And this ceiling and walls, it almost was like a marble ceiling. It was smooth, and it shimmered and glowed. And they used crystals to absorb the moonlight and used it to reflect the moonlight all throughout the cave. And with this cave system, it was a very ancient teaching on creating plays. They would act plays inside of these caves. And with the light, it created these holographic versions of them. versions of anything they could put their imagination to. This was a very sophisticated creation, because never before did Lemurians have holographic visuals. It's almost like movies. Except they connected their pineal gland with these reflecting light of the moon to create holograms. It's almost as the pineal gland would project images onto these crystal ceilings and walls where moonlight is bouncing all around. And with the moonlight would construct this holographic image within the self into something that is external, like a movie. Except this movie was not on a screen, it was a 3D. And they very much, through the connecting with the moon, they also learned how to connect to other moons, to other stars. Stars connected with the Pleiades. And they were able to channel, to download Pleiadian movies. Movies the Pleiadians designed. And they would watch it in these caves, these Pleiadian holographic images of Pleiadians telling stories and acting out these stories. Because Lemurian and Pleiades were very much similar in their energy frequency. Their core focus was compassion, was imagination, and was nature. Because they understood that nature has many stories to tell, stories that go beyond nature's life on this planet. Because nature actually can connect with nature on other worlds, on other planets, all throughout the cosmos. Lemurians were very much, you can imagine, the parents of the Native Americans. And the Native Americans very much, when they connected with their spirituality, their unique spirituality, that was very much misunderstood by the Europeans. They were channeling the Lemurians. The Lemurians very much loved to sing and dance. They loved body movement. And they learned communication through the Pleiadians, way of verbal expression. They had all forms of expression that we don't even have today. They had verbal expression in body movement and singing, dancing, expression through art and using your hands, expression through nature. They also had expression through telepathic channeling to each other. They had this ability to channel their imagination into the minds of another individual. They could channel a story into another person's mind and show them exactly what they see and feel. The reason why I feel guided to channel Lemurians is because the dawn of creativity is here. The dawn of crystals is here. Crystals are waking up from their slumber that they've been in. The network of crystals Lemurians had throughout their entire shore. Crystals ran up and down the hilltops, and all the crystals were connected together, creating true pure energy. Consistent energy that they used to create beams that would shoot up into the sky, that would send signals to other planets. They had this ability to laser cut through glass, laser cut through stone. A lot of their structures were very much symmetric, because they had this ability, this geometry, and this laser technology to cut through the roughest of material. So they had 10-foot tall statues made of marble, made of materials that they found deep in the ocean. Statues of angels, beings with wings, and Pleiadians, beings with long hair and wearing crowns. Because Pleiadians love to wear headdresses, very similar to Native American headdresses, but were more like crowns. Instead of feathers, there was feather-like crystals that were very light as a feather, that would drape around their head, and robes that of silver, shimmered and shined like silver, but was as light as a feather. They very much admired the Pleiadians and admired the Native Americans, even though the Americans were not even existing yet. Time stood still with Lemurians. There was really no concept of time. There was the sun and the moon and the cycles. Everything was a cycle. It wasn't a day cycle. They used the sun cycles and the moon cycles as telling of a year, but never of days. Because there were longer years and there were shorter years. Years were never the same. And the concept of aging was different. Lemurians didn't quite age the way we do. Lemurians, their skin was always soft, regardless of their age, and they always had this youthful radiance. There was no concept of withering away, of your bones cracking and aching and breaking when you get old. There was no wheelchairs, there's no crutches, there's no needing to sit down or unable to walk long distances that we associate with old people. No, there was, before one's death, there was peace, there was health and vitality always. And death was different. Death was not the end. It was merely an end of a chapter, an end of a creation, of a lesson, of a goal. And a lot of times, the Lemurians died when they achieved that goal. They died soon after. So they didn't hold on to their physical bodies. They were grounded, but when they felt a completion in that life, they left their body. And a lot of Lemurians returned back to Lemuria. There's nothing to do or nothing to achieve or to gain. It was simply an energy exchange between a soul and this physical world. The energy exchange that really helped souls on their journey through the cosmos. Because the Lemurian frequency itself brought a lot of creativity, a lot of spunk and pizzazz. It brought a lot of inspiration and motivation. And souls seeking motivation, seeking inspiration, would incarnate in Lemuria to be in awe by the beauty and the grace, the palaces. The palaces weren't like the palaces during the medieval ages. The palaces were open to all, and the floors and the ceilings were made of marble that shined and shimmered and crystal. Crystal was cut by laser into these perfect shapes inside of these palaces, and the walls were almost see-through, where you could see the shore, the ocean, because most palaces were right on the ocean, on hills, tall hills looking out of the ocean. And there were bridges, crystal bridges, that extended out of the palaces through the sea, like hovering above the ocean, these crystal bridges that would connect Lemurians to these other continents where other Lemurians were residing. Because not all Lemurians lived on one continent. It started on one continent, and then Lemurians decided to spread, to live on other continents as well, to share the wisdom with the individuals on those regions. And Lemuria eventually discovered Atlantis. Atlantis and Lemuria didn't have contact with each other until Atlantis and Lemuria became very much solid in their individuality. And through spreading the wisdom and the joy and the creativity and the imagination and the technology and the crystals, Lemurians very much, their greatest achievement was spreading the crystal knowledge to other regions around the world through their sailboats. And they could sail in a different way. It's almost like the boats had an engine, except this engine was using the force of the ocean to propel them forward in a rapid movement, and the sailboats didn't even touch the water. It was like they were hovercrafts that could shoot through just above the ocean to these other regions around the earth. They used the water to propel it forward at rapid speed without even touching the water. So Atlantis and Lemuria came in contact. They came in contact and were very much surprised by their similarities and differences. Atlanteans very much were warriors. They very much they like to practice the whole being a lion, being courageous, being solid. So a lot of Atlantean stories were about courage. Courage to overcome fear of going into a dark cave, or courage to go deep into the ocean to discover the wonders within the ocean. So Atlanteans and Lemurians merged their ideas together and understood that they were each other's polarities. While Lemurians were working on, you can say, community, Atlanteans were working on individuality, creating a strong sense of self. This is I am the warrior Luminon. And really understanding what it is to be an individual that is extremely unique. So they valued peculiarness, Atlanteans. And Atlanteans were very much new. Lemurians predate Atlantis. But the Lemurians shared technology with Atlanteans. They shared Lemurians shared the crystal technology with Atlanteans. And Atlanteans shared sophisticated ways of creating space. They had these structures, these pillared buildings, which at the ceiling was like space. Lemurians were very intrigued by how Atlanteans could create a visual space in a building, in a pillared building. And they showed them how to do this. Overall, the Lemurians the energy of it is returning. It's returning now. Energy of communicating with plants and animals. The energy of creativity, bountiful, abundant creativity is returning.